Okay, so it seems that Elon Musk is out, and a lot of people are blaming him for not doing enough, for laughing at him, for finally quitting. But the reality, I think, is a little bit more complex. So, did Dodge actually work? Well, Elon Musk promised that he will save at least $1 trillion, and I think he managed to save around 150 million or so. Obviously, not reaching the goal, but still 150 million saved, and more importantly, he shut down US aid. And the question is like, why did he manage to do that, but didn't manage to do more? Well, you see, when people look at government spending, you're actually looking at grifting. Grifting is a feature, not a bug. Like, grifting is the way the system is designed to work. Like, all the politicians, when they talk to each other, they want to grift. And so when you have someone that's like trying to take down the grift, it's not like he's trying to fix the system or that, oh, look, this is working inefficient, only if we can make it work better. No, no, no. It's working extremely efficient for the people that are grifting. The government is kind of similar to the mafia, if you will. Like, there's a lot of nepotism, there's a lot of interests. And so when you have someone trying to destroy that, everyone is against him. And the United States is not a dictatorship. It doesn't matter what Donald Trump wants. If the Republicans do not vote on the laws, if the deep state, as they call them, right? Like the agencies, the mainstream media, if all of the activists and the political are aligned against one guy, they're going to crush the guy, even if he's the richest person in the world. Like all of those protests against Tesla, notice how they're gone now. Notice how all of a sudden, no one is drawing swastikas on Teslas. It's not a big stink if you buy a Tesla anymore. And notice how the protests were also irrational. All the people that are saying, oh, we need to save the planet, environmentalism, give up eating meat, give up eating your air conditioning, but don't give up shaming someone for buying a Tesla, right? Like that's, the world would rather burn than to see a person buying a Tesla. All those protests, like someone paid for them. People don't just leave work and protest on the streets for days on end without someone paying for them to be there. And the reason is because he was fucking with the grift. Now, why did US aid actually manage to be shut down? Well, because it was a one-sided grift. It was the Democrats' grift. They were grifting so fucking hard that they cut off the Republicans. It was the woke grift, right? Like no grifting for bigots. Well, if you're going to make a grift that's not bipartisan, eventually it's going to be crushed. Because that's the secret of it. See, like we in Eastern Europe have perfected the art of the grift. You want to allow the other side at least like 15% of grift, so that if the grift is under attack, the other 15% from the other side defend you. Which is pretty much what happened now with the Republican Party, right? Like they didn't want to continue Dodge, right? Like a percentage of the Republican Party, despite the fact that the Republicans are in power, they voted against messing with the government because, well, they're part of the grift. And so US aid was not only just left-leaning grift, almost exclusively, but at the end of the day, even they understood, okay, it's giving America a bad name. Like, if you want to get some African nation on your side, right, in order to make sure that they don't work with the Chinese, like you want to open an American factory there, which is also a grift, right? Like the people that opened the factory there, then they're going to be thankful for the politicians that made it happen. And so, like the grift that you also had in Ukraine with Hunter Biden. Like there's many such cases all around the world with US politicians. And so you want to grift, especially in Africa. You want to grift in other places. But it's kind of difficult to grift when you're talking about, we're going to build a bridge here, but how are you treating your gays? What about your transgender youth? And they're a hyper-conservative African country that barely has wells with water that's safe to drink in them, and you're talking about noble things like homosexuality. Usually they're going to be, okay, well, we're going to do business with the Chinese because they're a little bit more common sense. And ironically, though, like the Americans even lost a couple of color revolutions in Eastern Europe because they kept going with the LGBT shit. And in Eastern Europe, they call it the pidars, right? It's like, the culture is so fucking incompatible. Like, I understand that the LGBT grift is extremely profitable, right? Like, activists are making a lot of money. It's kind of like consultancy, if you will, right? Like, no one can actually follow where the money went. Oh, you paid an activist to write a couple of books about why homosexuality is the grandest achievement of mankind, right? And he's making millions of dollars. Does anyone actually see if that book had an effect? If the acceptance for LGBT has risen in Ghana or has went down? No one does the follow-up studies, right? Like, it's a grift. But it's an ideological grift that doesn't work in certain parts of the world, right? Like, meanwhile, if you have a marketing consultancy firm, right? We want to consult you on the environment, blah, blah, blah. That works everywhere. Works in China, works in Russia. You know, LGBT grifting, okay, it works in Sweden, it works in France, works in America. Doesn't work really well in Ghana. Doesn't work really well in Botswana. You know, so they understood that, okay, we're grifting, but like, let's grift with common sense. So this is why USAID probably went down. Because it was not bipartisan, right? It was just the Democrats, and a lot of Republicans were waiting to punish the Democrats. And the second thing is that it wasn't even common sense. It's fine to grift with LGBT issues and that, but like not make it national policy. Like, you don't want America to be recognized around the world for the cock and pussy. Like, this is an internal matter, you know, grifting at the local level based on that in California, okay. But if you're going in Eastern Europe, in Georgia with that shit, it's like, get the fuck out, you know? Like, especially when the Georgian mentality is like, okay, you know, don't fight the Russians for us, we will fight them ourselves, but enough with the woke shit. Especially nations that went through communism, they're very against this type of ideology. Like anything that deals with like, oh, accomplishment aren't important, meritocracy isn't important, identity is. When you go in Eastern Europe with identity is important, the Eastern Europeans are going to tell, yes, but identity doesn't put food on the table and I can't feed my kids. And I need to pay the electricity bill. So unless you have some common sense, get the fuck out. Right, so all in all, you know, like this was expected, but take into account that Donald Trump got what he wanted from Elon Musk. Basically, he wanted the support from his platform, from the elections. Elon Musk probably got something as well. I don't think that he didn't grift. You know, I think that he may have gotten something like a government contract or some authorization to work with China. I don't know. But for those of you who follow Elon Musk and his businesses, I'm pretty sure that certain things that he wanted all of a sudden got approved, right? Now the question is, could the American public actually destroy the grift? Right? Because, like, the public isn't interested. Well, first of all, you need to understand that that's a lie. Like, the public also benefits from the grift. Like, people in the public sector, right? Like, teachers. America doesn't have public doctors, right? But, like, people that work in the public, the grift benefits them, right? Like, the grift goes down to them, like, especially university professors and school teachers, in other countries, like I mentioned, doctors, right? Like they need that grift. The postal workers, right? This is why the Democrats really cared about these people. And so, like, these people not only want the grift to remain, but they would also do activism and pressure against people that try to stop the grift. So once you understand that not everyone is against the grift, then you can understand what would need to happen in order for it to be cracked down. And what would need to happen is to vote consistently over at least 10 or 20 years to make sure that only anti-grifters manage to take office, which is extremely difficult to accomplish. First of all, because even if you have an honest, decent person, once they get into power, once they get into government, they're very tempted to take part into the grift. And the second thing, you know, like consistently making sure that right-wingers win is very difficult. And then you'd also need the judges on your side, because as we saw, like a lot of judges were against to prevent America from becoming less corrupt. And so this is the most difficult way to accomplish the destruction of the grift, is to constantly vote for politicians like Milei, systemically, across the United States, in every state, and making sure that they usually get like at least 50.1% consistently. And in the end, the president is going to constantly nominate judges on the Supreme Court that are also against grifting. So like you need like a changing culture, right? Like grifting should be viewed as being a misogynist during the peak feminist era, right? Being a grifter should be viewed as being a rapist, basically, right? So if you manage to do that, and society throughout a decade constantly votes anti-grifters into office, then eventually yes. But how likely is that to happen? And so the other question is like, what other options are there? Huge crisis, that's another option, right? Like if you have another Great Depression, or something that's affecting people so much that people are extremely outraged, they go on the streets, they protest, you have food riots and shit. In America, unlike Africa, people have guns, right? Well, then the grifting is going to slow down a little bit. It's still not going to go away forever. It's still possible that the politicians will just bunker down and keep grifting while deploying forces to pacify the protesters. But it's more likely than the vote. And the final thing is a war. Like if you have an actual state of war, not against a small nation like Iraq or, but an actual war, like for instance against China, right? You have an existential conflict. And then the politicians are going to be, oh shit, like if we lose the war, we lose all the grift. So we need to grift a little bit less. And for the duration of the war, the grift goes down. And after the war, usually like there's a different culture. People are jaded from being on the battlefield. The entire mentality, the entire way of life shifts. You're going to have massive restructuring and transformation in the nation, depending if you won or lost. And so that is the thing that can reset the clock, if you will, because grifting happens in every nation. It's just a matter of time. And it's just like when it happens too much, it usually leads to a collapse and you reset the clock. And that's pretty much it, right? Like the idea of getting someone like Elon Musk, sure, at least the grift doesn't go bigger, and he managed to accomplish something, but it's putting a band-aid on the problem, right? Like grifting is human nature, it's normal, because like at the end of the day, what is grifting? It's a person putting his own interest or his family interests ahead of the business that he works at, whether it's the government or a private business, still the same idea, right? And while there are people out there that wouldn't grift because they're moral, decent people and wouldn't imagine themselves stealing, when you look at tens of thousands of people, especially ones that are in positions of power and view themselves as untouchable, it's sufficient for 20% of them to grift in order to have a systemic problem. So let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.